Hello there and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Doctor Who Season 1 / Series 14 Episode 7 The Legend of Ruby Sunday. So, let's get into it. So, what did I think of this story? Well, twists and turns could be the only really way to describe it. I heard a few... Before I get into major spoilers for this episode, if you haven't seen it, which I don't know why you wouldn't have seen it, go and watch it and then come back and watch this. Because by the time I post this, The Empire of Death would have came out. So yeah, go and watch it, then come back. So yeah, what did I think of this episode? I heard rumours about Sutekh returning, but I never really believed them, because it's always the same typical names that crop up, like the Rani, the Meddling Monk, Sutekh. You know, your standard names that come out around about every season, like when there's a new guest star that we don't really know too much about. So yeah, I didn't really believe any of them. Personally, I thought it'd be a new villain, but I'm so glad that Sutekh is returning. I hadn't seen Pyramids of Mars before. I know it's a really good story, and I've heard a lot of people give it high praise, and yeah, so I'm really looking forward to watching that on the Tales of the TARDIS thing that's happening in a couple of days as we're recording this video, but it already happened for you guys. But yeah, it was so good, that sort of scene with it flashing between Susan Triad and Sutekh. It kind of reminded me of the Professor Yana's The Master reveal at the end of Utopia, where you have flashes of the letters and face of both saying you're not alone. It sort of reminded me of that. But yeah, we'll go into more in-depth that sort of thing in a bit. So, yeah, what did I think of the other parts of the episode? I think it was all right. I think it's mostly set up for the second part, The Empire of Death, and providing that delivers and it's a really good episode, which, judging by the Next Time trailer and some of the clips on Doctor Who Unleashed and that, it looks like it's shaping up to be a really good finale, up there with some of Russell T Davies's best finales like Stolen Earth and Journey's End. So I'm really looking forward to potentially seeing what's going to happen there, and I genuinely have no idea where it's going to go. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, especially in the cinema. So it's going to be really great to see that. Yasmin Finney as Rose Noble, great to see her back, and great to see that she referenced the 14th Doctor. When we saw her in the trailer, I was really hoping that he'd get referenced. I wouldn't want just to be pushed to the sidelines, so I'm really glad that he actually got referenced. I hope that David Tennant does return in sort of a backseat capacity in the future. I know it's unlikely, but I don't know, maybe. Great to see the sort of time window thing. That looked really very Star Trek. It reminded me of the holodeck from Star Trek Next Generation. Some of you may know what I'm talking about, but it's this sort of hologram thing that they have on the Enterprise. I think it's the Enterprise. Yeah. My mind just went blank then. But yeah, it sort of reminded me of that. I loved Ncuti's energy in this episode, the way he just laughed at the time window, because to a Time Lord it's just so low technology, just crammed together, as he said. But yeah, I just think his energy as the Doctor, I think it's growing, and I'm really looking forward to see what he does in the future for this role. Also as well, again, Millie Gibson's acting. I've said it throughout the whole of these reviews for the series, but I think she has been like one of the best companions of modern Doctor Who, if not all time. I just love the way she acts. You can definitely tell that that she's like putting her heart and soul into it and like trying her hardest in every scene. And I really love to see that, and I love like her emotion to it. And talking of emotion, I'm not really like too keen on the Doctor crying in like basically every story. I know that it's good to have a Doctor who's more in touch with his emotions, and I get that, but it's sort of like that downgrades his like emotions, if that makes sense. It's sort of like because like most of the other Doctors, they've sort of wanted to cry but held it all together. Like for example, in Doomsday, when the Doctor wanted to cry when Rose left, but he just looked at the wall and sort of like sighed. And I think it adds more impact when the Doctor does eventually cry, because you know, oh no, this is getting serious, something bad's gonna happen. So I sort of think that it sort of like downgrades his emotions. It doesn't make it pull on your heartstrings when you see the Doctor cry anymore. I don't know if that's just me or if that's anyone else. Like for example, you never really saw the 11th Doctor cry, but the only times I can remember are when Amy and Rory left and when he heard the name Trenzalore. And I think, and watching those episodes on broadcast, from what I can remember, especially Amy and Rory, I was crying with him because I didn't want them to leave. So it definitely makes it relatable to the audience when the Doctor cries. And I think having him cried in almost every episode since the Church on Ruby Road, I think it's sort of like not been as impactful. It's sort of like been like the boy who cried wolf, if that makes sense. And on to Gemma Redgrave. I think she was amazing as Kate Stewart, as always. That little duologue they had about Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, I'm almost entirely sure at some point before Russell T Davies's second era is over, I can guarantee you that Susan will show up at some point. They're just dropping too many hints, like left, right and centre, and I just hope that Carol Ann Ford does get to come back while she's able to. It'd be lovely to see her, and if she does come back, I don't want them to sort of decanonise all the stuff that happened between Paul McGann and Susan in the Time War, such as when she had that adoptive son who like turned bad in Big Finish. I think the story's called An Earthly Child. Highly recommend you go and listen to that. Great story. But yeah, I hope that Susan does return, and I can definitely see her being the returning character in the season 2 finale, because I just noticed the other day that in each Russell T Davies finale, there's been some kind of returning element. So you've had the Cybermen and the Daleks together, you've had the Master returning, you've had Rassilon and the Time Lords returning, you've had the Toymaker returning, and now Sutekh. So yeah, maybe she will be the returning element next time instead of a monster. I don't know, I hope so anyway. Also as well, I loved seeing Mel, played by Bonnie Langford. She was great in it as always. Great to see her have more like a prominent part instead of just like screaming like she did in the 6th and 7th Doctor's era. So it's great to see her put, especially as well, some like the computer skills that she was meant to have to use. Also as well, loved Susan Twist as Susan Triad. It's really weird referring to her as the character because we're just so used to calling her Susan Twist, the actress's name. But I wonder how she's going to fit into all of this. Maybe she'll be like one of like the minion people, and also like the makeup for her and is it like Harriet Arbinger or something like that? Like their makeup, I was thinking this season that they were being like they were just playing it safe, not to scare people literally too much, but that effect of like you can see like the bone and like the skin peeling off, I thought that looked like, it gave me chills, and that's not something that Doctor Who does to me very often, but I just thought that looked absolutely amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the finale, how it leads into the Christmas special. Also as well, Mrs. Flood, who is she? Is she sort of like a pilot fish from Russell T Davies's first era, if that makes sense? Like, is she one of them? I don't know, or is she just like a returning character? I'm really intrigued to see like what Mrs. Flood is. That little fourth wall break when she was talking to Cherry Sunday was absolutely chilling, and I met Anita Dobson at a Comic-Con a few weeks ago in Milton Keynes, I think it was, and she's one of the nicest people, and I said to her, like, the way she sort of like acts is like so innocent, but like when she does that fourth wall break, it snaps to like sort of like a really sinister voice, and she said that she'd been told to play it that way, and I don't really know how you can tell someone to play it that way, but I just think she's genius at whatever she does. Also, another thing I'm kind of hoping for the finale is the return of like the classic Sutekh mask Egyptian. I think it's Egyptian or Greek mask thing. I hope that does return because it just looks great. But yeah, overall, I really like this episode. It's mostly setup stuff, but that's usually the case with two-parters. But I feel like if the final can deliver, it will be one of the most solid series in modern Doctor Who history. Like up there with like Series 5. Like every episode, I think, has been consistent and has got so many good points about it and very few bad points. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen with this next series, and I'll be able to see this two-part at the cinema. So it's going to change my viewing of it a bit. I'll still watch it on TV as normal at the broadcast time. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you thought of Sutekh returning. What you thought of all that stuff. Who would you like to return in the future? Who you thought Mrs. Flood was? And yeah, sorry this has been a bit of a rambling review. I just wanted to get all my thoughts out and sort of prepare for the finale, if that makes sense. So yeah, let me know all that in the comment section down below, and hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.